September 2018 is when I officially made my first $1 million at age 20. I'll pop a screenshot on the screen showing the order which officially crossed this threshold. Now, I don't say this to brag or for any weird flex reasons, but I genuinely attribute my success to this online world of education hosted on YouTube. You see, I was a high school dropout, I got terrible grades, and I was going down the absolute wrong path. I was hanging out with the wrong group of friends, smoking weed pretty much every day, drinking alcohol and partying on the weekends. So truly, without the motivation of videos just like this one, I don't think I would be where I am today. So with that being said, in today's video, I'm gonna be walking through the full journey of how I made my first $1 million. I wanted to share this story with you because I truly believe if you follow the same principles that I'm talking about in this video, then you can go out and do this on your own. So with that being said, if you do enjoy this content and it motivates you, make sure to smash the like button and subscribe to the channel. It means a bunch to me. So thanks for doing that. Now let's dive in. All right, so despite how social media portrays being a millionaire and it only taking a few weeks or even a few months, my journey was pretty grueling and started far before I started to even make decent money. I knew from a young age that I wasn't gonna have financial support from my family because they basically told me if I don't go to college, then I'm on the streets. I always hated school, and something inside of me told me that this wasn't the right option for me. I had difficulty focusing in class, and overall, I just felt like I was wasting my time. On top of that, by 8th grade, I had already been suspended around 5 times and had multiple encounters with law enforcement. So all in all, I knew that I was pretty much screwed, but this helped me come upon a principle that I'm very grateful that I learned, which is the concept of building a reserve fund, which I ended up starting at 16 years old with $1,000 that I acquired from reselling some items that I had. This emergency fund allows you to protect yourself financially and take risks that you wouldn't be able to do if you did not have it. So I highly recommend this, but anyways, at age 17, I got a job and sunk every single penny that I earned into this reserve fund, and by the end of the year, I had acquired almost $10,000 saved up. I was extremely frugal. I remember going out to dinner with my girlfriend and seeing a check for $20 and genuinely cringing at spending that type of money. And I'm not even kidding, sometimes we would look for free food online, browse for coupons, do whatever we could to save a couple dollars here and there. Now, it's genuinely embarrassing to look back on, but I can seriously say that this was the very first step to me making my first $1 million. I think financial management is so important, and by taking these few steps, it really helped me understand finances far beyond what I thought at the time. And by the time I turned 18, I had about $15,000 saved up, and this is when I decided to take the flipping side hustle I had a little bit more seriously. I was selling glass artwork at the time, which consisted of different glass pendants, vases, and items just like this. And basically what I was doing, I was buying glass from different locals that were trying to offload pieces, but my buddy and I decided to put our money together and take the very first step into creating our very first company. We found out if we rebranded ourselves from glass art flippers to an online glass gallery, then we would have a whole new process on how to acquire glass. Instead of purchasing from locals, we'd be able to acquire wholesale directly from the artists and secure prices much cheaper than before. It was a risky move, and we decided to take $2,500 each and place a $5,000 order from an artist local in my city. And we had no commitments for purchases at the time, but it ended up being a grand slam, and we ended up turning that $5,000 into $8,500 within only a few weeks, so we definitely knew that we were onto something. So I decided to venture on my own, create my own Instagram page, and rinse and repeat this same process of acquiring glass from locals who would wholesale me the artwork. And just a few months later, I realized that I was consistently hitting over $10,000 per month in revenue, which was absolutely nuts. I could not believe it at the time. And that's why I recommended all of you to have the emergency fund in place, because if I didn't have those funds available, then I never would have been able to take this risk, which got my very first business off the ground. Anyway, here's where things get a little bit crazy. So at the time, I was working 3 jobs, and I decided it was the time to quit all of them because I was struggling to balance anything and I didn't like what I was doing anyways. I had a boss that would throw food around the restaurant, and one time he even Spartan kicked a trash can across the entire place. So he was a complete asshole, so I was definitely excited to put my resignation letter in.
I formally tender my resignation.
I'm sure a lot of you know how I feel, and that's why when I hire employees now, I do my absolute best to treat them how I would have liked to be treated, because at the end of the day, the way we encounter with people will always come back to us one way or another. Anyway, this risk was pretty crazy. My entire family told me that I was making the wrong decision and was begging me not to take this risk. And the reason why I wanted to tell you guys this is because most of the time our family has good intentions, but they don't understand the path or the trajectory that we're trying to go on, and they try to tell us not to believe in ourselves. I can genuinely tell you that if you have an internal motivation or something pulling you to go towards a certain direction, then to focus on that and don't worry about failing, because the absolute worst thing that could happen is that it doesn't succeed, and that will just be another prerequisite for success, which has actually turned my motto into fail quick. I don't worry about failing, because the quicker that I learn something doesn't work, the faster I can find out what works so I can double down on it. And lucky for me, this turned out to be an absolute game changer. I was completely devoted to running this company, and I ended up dropping all of the friends I had before. Most of them were just partying, and I knew that they did not have good intentions for me. So this is something you guys are gonna wanna look at in your own life. Who do you surround yourself with? Do they actually want to see you succeed, or are they just there to have a good time? Even if they're old friends of yours, the absolute worst thing that you could do is spend your time with people who are battery drainers and who are not providing value to your life. And I think this is one of the smartest decisions that I could have made, and this is definitely one of the principles that helped me make my first $1 million. And by cutting my friends out and being super consistent, I was able to make my first $100,000 through this company, which was an absolute game changer, and I couldn't believe I got to this point. I was living in my own apartment at the time, which costed around $700 per month. And on top of that, I had expenses of around another $200 for food and other necessities. So by being as frugal as possible, this helped me skyrocket my savings, which I definitely think contributed to what happened next. Now that I was starting to make some real money, the challenge was, how could I double down and take this to the next level? I wanted to do something big, but I didn't know exactly what I needed to do. But a buddy of mine helped me create a website for this online glass gallery I had, and through that encounter, I learned about a business model called dropshipping. It's basically where you find products on wholesale Chinese websites like AliExpress, and you build your own website on a platform like Shopify or Wix. And then you do the marketing yourself, and when you get an order, you can place that directly through AliExpress and you get to keep all of the profit. And when I learned that this existed, I was absolutely blown away, because with my online glass gallery, I had to order these products from the supplier. I would keep them in-house, spend tons of money to do that, and then I would have to spend tons of time shipping these products directly to the customer. So this business model flipped everything on the other side, and I saw much more potential with this because I did not have to handle the fulfillment. So long story short, my buddy and I created a few of these websites, and both of them were kind of flunks. We got a few sales here and there, but nothing was crazy. When I first started to get success was after a few of them failed, and this brings up another principle. You can't just quit after you see a few failures, because you might be right there close to breaking that barrier where your entire life will change, but you just haven't realized it yet. So thankfully, I persevered and went over that hump, and me and my friend decided to start another dropshipping business, and this time we decided to be a little bit more clever with it. We decided to sell fashion and apparel, so different necklaces just like these ones that I'll pop on the screen. And our advertising strategy was to find meme pages just like this one that I'm gonna put on the screen, and we contacted them and asked them for promotions that we could post on their feed and their story. And our very first promotion, we paid $30, and it ended up grossing a total of $240 in revenue, which was an absolute game changer for me to see that potential from such a small advertising cost and to not have to fulfill the order. I knew we were onto something. So that month, I rinsed and repeated the process, and we ended up clearing $32,000 in sales that very first month, which ended up being quite a bit more profit than I made from my glass gallery. And while I continued to run this glass gallery, I knew I was onto something here. So I kept doubling down the next month, and I ended up getting in contact with a large Instagram influencer. At the time, they were literally the biggest Instagram influencer in the niche we were going after, and I sent them an email. I did not think I was gonna get a reply back, and I checked my phone and they told me it was $3,000 to run a post on their page. And in retrospect, I look at this and I'm like, that was such a good deal for the promotion. But at the time, it was such an incredible amount of money for me that I wasn't sure if I was gonna do this or not. So I consulted my business partner and we decided, screw it, we're gonna attempt this, we're gonna see how this works, and we're gonna double down on this business. And I'm so thankful that I ended up taking this risk, because the Instagram influencer sent us the post across, and instantly I knew that this post was gonna be a banger. The post was so organic and natural, and I thought that this was gonna be very successful, but little did I know, this absolutely changed my life. So just a couple hours later, I got a text from the Instagram influencer and they told me that the post was live. So I went onto my Shopify dashboard and I checked the Instagram app, and when I refreshed the Instagram page, the post already had something like 30,000 views in just a few minutes. So on the Shopify app, I checked it out and we had 1,500 viewers on the website. What we were doing at the time was a very simple business model. It was a free plus shipping offer. So basically how these offers work is that you have a product that you sell for free, and then the customer just has to pay a shipping cost. So our product cost plus shipping was around $4, and we were charging $9.95 for shipping. And we also had tons of other items on our website. And in the first hour, we ended up doing something like $6,000 or $7,000 in sales, which literally blew my mind. And by the time the post was done, we had something like $20,000 in sales. And then I got a message from the Instagram influencers management, and they asked us if we wanted to extend the post for another $1,500. So I said, of course, and in those 24 hours, we ended up clearing $32,000 in sales. Now, I don't say this to brag, but this literally changed my life forever. I never thought that someone like me, who came from my background, would be able to make money like this in such an easy fashion. And to be honest, fulfilling all those orders definitely wasn't an easy process. I was a pretty beginner entrepreneur at the time, and I didn't really know how to delegate and bring employees on board. But luckily, I had my girlfriend to help us out with the process. She's pretty much helped out with everything, so I give so much credit to her. And without her, I definitely wouldn't be where I am today. And luckily, I had the help from her, and we spent day and night fulfilling these orders. What we ended up having to do was go on Alibaba and place a bulk order for these products, and the delivery time was far more than we expected. So we ended up having to rent out 2 office spaces to store all these products, and we ended up hiring my friend's sister to help us package these up, and it was a complete nightmare. We had orders everywhere, and it took far longer than expected doing this from our own office. Luckily, we were able to get through this influx of orders, and throughout that month, we continued to double down, and we ended up clearing over $90,000 that second month. So by the end of that second month, we saw the true potential of what this business model could really do for us. So we continued to run the business for a couple months, and it was clear that we didn't work that good together as business partners. One piece of advice for all the little entrepreneurs out there: don't go try to start a business with your best friend. It usually doesn't work that well. And while I definitely wouldn't go back in the past and change it, I think it's better to start on your own, because you're able to have that full control and you're able to move the business where you want it to be. And after we split up, I ended up staying in the same niche where I got that first success, in the jewelry and apparel niche, and I started my very own brand. And this time I had my girlfriend helping me out, and we rinsed and repeated this exact process, and we were up to $50,000 a month in no time. But the issue was scheduling these promotions with influencers took so much time, and it was exhausting. And I really didn't think we were gonna be able to double down and grow this business to where I thought it could be without a more consistent source of revenue. And I heard about Facebook advertisements at the time, but I hadn't tried them out yet. One of my friends swore by it, told me that I had to check it out. So I decided one day I'm gonna launch a campaign up. I ended up putting $50 in Facebook, and that $50 ended up getting 10 sales, which almost tripled the money we put in, and pretty much the rest is history. I rinsed and repeated this, and the first month we cleared over $100,000 with this exact method, and it was so consistent that I got my own office space, my own employees, and we were shipping products out like madmen. Now, I'm not gonna go into this full story because I do have a story that covers a lot of what I'm talking about. I'll leave a link above if you wanna check it out, but this is exactly how I got my first $1 million. It definitely wasn't easy. It took a lot of trial and tribulations and tons of failures. So for all the young entrepreneurs out there, or even if you're old and getting into this, you're gonna have to put a lot of effort into this to try to make it work. But at the end of the day, I can truly say that I'm forever grateful that I stuck to my guns and I chased the dream and vision I had for myself. And I truly think that if you guys go out and do this and you stay tunnel vision on what you're trying to accomplish, then you're gonna get there, and probably a lot faster than me. So go out there and make it happen. I wish all of you the best of luck, and I hope you did enjoy this video. If you wanna see more videos just like this, breaking down my story and how I got to where I am, then definitely let me know down in the comments. But I really appreciate you guys watching. Take care, stay safe, and peace out.